Hey everybody, welcome back. Sharon Brubaker here. Today I want to talk about something that we don't often talk about. I want to talk about the grief. Let's just talk about the grief. People don't want to talk about it. And when I say people, I mean the people around us, our family and friends and society. They don't feel comfortable talking about the grief. And here's the deal. It's our job to help them feel comfortable. We need to bring up the grief. We need to start talking about it. Loss is unavoidable. It's an unavoidable part of our life. Whether the loss is of a loved one, of a pet, of a long-term dream that you've held on to for years, your heart will feel broken at some point from some type of loss in your life. Here we go around, and I teach this all the time. I teach this in my program. Grief is normal. Grief is natural. Grief is a normal and natural reaction to your loss. It's normal for your heart to feel broken. It's normal for you to cry. It's normal for you to not want to be here anymore. It's normal for you to say, I don't think I can do this. All of that is normal. But going through the healing process can be one of the toughest times in your life. You also need to talk about that. You need to process that all the way through. You need to have conversations with others about it. You need to have conversation with others about just the feeling of day-to-day loneliness. Yet how are we going to have these conversations when the average person around us doesn't even want to talk about it? They don't even want to say the word grief. Some people won't even mention your person's name. They won't mention your person's name because they don't want to make you cry. They don't want to make you feel sad. Have you ever wondered why people don't like to talk about grief? And not the word grief, even though I think that's part of it. It's also the grief itself that people don't want to talk about. Is it that they think they're going to catch it? They think if they sit too close to you, it's contagious and they'll get it. I don't know. I'm always trying to get an answer to that question, and I just don't get it. It seems like whenever we bring up grief or loss, people seem to get uncomfortable. It's almost as if grief has become a dirty word, the word of the enemy, or we're speaking to the enemy. I don't think grief is a dirty word. I think grief and love should be together. I think there should be more than a National Grief Day. There should be a National Grief Month. We should have a grief class in our schools. Our parents should go to grief school. They should learn how to grieve so that they can teach their children how to grieve. So that when their children come upon the grieving experience, they'll be able to help them. A lot of times, people that I'm just sitting with, they don't even want to talk about it. When a lot of times when I have guests here on the show, they're always talking about how we don't talk about it enough. One of the reasons is grief is associated with pain, tears, and death. Maybe it's not the grief that people are so afraid of, it's just the death. Maybe they're afraid of dying. Maybe they're afraid somebody in their family will die. Maybe if they sit too close to you, someone they know will die, and they will have to experience that. When Austin died, many people walked in the room and they said this to Erica, I can't even imagine. And she perceived it as they were saying, I can't even imagine, but I'm so glad this is happening to you and not to me. And I think for a lot of us, that is what we feel like. Even though this is all of these things are true, there is pain involved with grief. There are tears, and for most times there is a death. All of these are true. But my friends, grief is a universal experience that will touch each and every one of our lives. We got to start making it a normal part of our conversation. And I don't don't think it's the griever's responsibility to do that. Not now, not while they're in the act of grief. It's the grievers who are healed who need to be talking about it. The grievers who are healed, who are beyond the pain, who needs to start sharing it with others, who needs to be the open heart with ears and be willing to listen and talk about what their experience was like. I don't know what this is like for you, but I remember when my loss occurred, I felt like I was never going to be able to make it through. Like, we've got to be able to have that conversation. Our discomfort with grief might be an unconscious choice. Maybe as a society, it's an unconscious choice, but it's a choice nonetheless, even if that choice is to not talk about it and not share it. If we've been walking around and seeing grief as the enemy, it's true, it can only continue to hurt us. It can only continue to hurt us. Holding on the pain can lead to depression, anxiety, health issues, high blood pressure, irritable bowel syndrome, depression, sleepiness, not wanting to move, feeling stuck. We can even get stuck in emotions such as anger, sadness, and all of this can start affecting our everyday life. Your grief will start to affect your everyday life. But when you can talk about it, when you can meet in groups with others who are going through the same thing that you're going through, who can shed some light on what has happened to them and what their experience has been like, who can sit in the room when you're breaking down crying and not get fazed by it, not run to get you tissue, not run to make it stop, but are absolutely okay that you are having this moment and they're with you. The power is in the other grievers coming together as one. I honestly, I see it every time I'm sitting with a group. I have done one-on-one for years, but when I get the women together to grieve, something powerful happens. But here's the one thing. It doesn't have to be this way. Us not talking about grief doesn't have to be this way. We can choose to view and talk about grief differently right now, today. We can all raise our hand and we can all say, I'm talking about the grief now. I don't care what you do. I'm going to talk about the grief. We can start having conversations about the grief and loss. And we can even if we're not currently experiencing it, we can talk about what it was like for us last year. How we couldn't go to the grocery store. How we didn't clean out his closet. How we didn't put all those clothes away. How the box of cereal is still sitting in the pantry because it's comforting to you now. Nobody's going to get that until they get it. People don't get it and they don't understand it until they get it, until they're absolutely there, and until they're the ones going through it. It's time to change the narrative around grief. Let's open up. Let's share our experiences. Let's start supporting one another. Stop trying to fix the griever. When your girlfriend's husband dies, don't run to her house to make her feel better. She feels like shit. Let her sit in the shit for a moment. Don't try to clean up all around her. It's okay that she's crying. It's okay that she doesn't want to get out of bed. It's okay that she's not eating right now. It's okay that she doesn't want to go to church or go to the Bible study. Let her be. Just sit there beside her and allow her to have her grieving moment, her grieving day, her grieving week, her grieving month, and her grieving year. She will get her foundation solid again, but you got to give her time to find that place. Let's open up and let's share about our experiences honestly. Let's honestly open up and share about our experiences, knowing that they are going to help someone else. Thank you guys so much for joining me today on Healing Starts with the Heart. I want you to remember this. Grief is a journey, but you're not alone on this journey. You can choose to be alone, or you can come and join us, a community of grievers that are helping one another grieve. I'm starting something new and I'm so excited about it. And it's called the Morning, MOURNING, Morning Meeting.life. And it is a place for grievers to come together, for grieving women to come together and just share their grief. I'm going to have it 2-3 times a month. I'm just going to open up the Zoom. We're going to have morning meetings. We're going to get together. I would love to have you as a guest. Click the link below, and in my bio, you'll see a free gift in there, the Griever's Guide. You'll see how you can set an appointment with me. But more importantly, you'll see the link to the morning meeting. And you'll see the dates and when we're having it. And you can get on the email list, and we'll be emailing people, ladies, and letting them know when we're having it. You can come to the morning meeting and never share a thing. You can come to the morning meeting and just listen. You can come to the morning meeting absolutely broken, absolutely stuck with where you are, and we will be honored to hold your space in here where you are. Thank you, friends, for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you at the morning meeting.